G'day and welcome to the Investor Motivation Podcast. My name's Robert Gowdy and this is...
Amy Lehman.
G'day Amy, how you going?
Good, how are you, Rob?
Well, thank you. Welcome to those that are listening via podcast or tuning in via YouTube, because there is a very cool new podcast feature on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
So this is the meshing of all social stuff, all doing the same all the time.
Yeah. Combine it all so everybody can get the goods.
Yeah, so really all the platforms seem to mimic themselves all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
That's, I suppose, one thing we do talk about is that improvement of businesses constantly from an investment point of view.
Yeah.
So there's different ways to consume things all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyhow, not what we're here today to talk about.
No.
What are we going to talk about today, Amy?
Today we are going to do a part 1 of 5 around goals-based advice and goals, as financial advisors, how we actually help clients on the day-to-day and get their goals from point A to point B.
Yep.
Like I said, this will be part 1 of 5. Today we'll do introduction to goals-based advice. We'll cover what goals-based advice is, the limitations of the alternative, which might be your returns-based focus only. So just looking at the returns on numbers rather than the personal and psychological aspects of financial advice, which is massively important.
Right, so it's quite a real different way of thinking, and probably not how we've traditionally or I've traditionally done it in the past.
Yeah.
But definitely where you're really honing in on the outcome and what you're striving for.
Yes.
Which can affect a whole range of things.
Yes, I think, like businesses improve themselves, our industry has evolved, and it's not just about investment returns anymore, it's about people, their core values, what they want to achieve in life, and mitigating stress along the way.
Right. So just a really quick example, if someone needs 50 grand to live in retirement, and from a certain age for X amount of years, then you don't need $10 million to do that.
No.
So don't strive for 10 mil at retirement. You may only need $400,000 plus some age pension.
Yeah.
So that would change the way you live up until that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Understand. Before we get stuck in, we need to do the acknowledgement of land, which I'll have a crack at. So I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land for which we record the podcast, pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging.
Well done.
Amy, kick us off.
Perfect. Like I said, this is part 1 of 5, and we're going to kick it off with goals-based advice. Really, to get to the nut of what goals-based advice is, it is an approach to financial planning that has evolved over time and does deviate away from just looking at the numbers and the investment returns and getting from a portfolio of this value to X value, which is higher. It instead looks at your personal and financial goals along the way, how much fun you want to be having from point A to point B.
Yep.
It might be saving for a house and then going for a holiday. It might be just all the personal things that you want to do along the way, and it might even be making sure you've got enough money or an income in retirement to see your grandkids more.
Yeah, and that's probably the one that I think about as an advisor that goals-based is that from a retirement income point of view.
Yeah.
I need X amount of dollars at retirement at this age. I want it to last this long. The first, I recommend clients go hard in the first 2/3 of your retirement, because you'll slow down in the last third, and centre obviously around achieving the amount of money to support that income.
Yeah.
But it's probably more than that. It's probably also now while we're living with young family, or it can be a goal to have the home loan paid off.
Yeah.
It can be a goal to have X amount of money for children's education.
Yeah.
So it can be short term and long term.
Yeah, and really all of these goals are centred around, you want to have the home loan paid off to reduce your financial stress, or you want to have the kids' educations paid off to reduce, the stress of having to pay for that. So it's always bringing it back to just making sure that that goal is achievable at that time and date.
Yep.
And just being comfortable with that and stress-free.
Fantastic. You've got a stat for us, Amy.
Well, Rob found me a stat because he knows I love them.
Love a stat.
So the stat we've got here is people who write down their goals are 42% more likely to achieve their goal than someone who didn't write it down.
Right. And the bit of research I found was obviously a psychology professor at the Dominican University of California, so it's well cited around the place. Dr. Gail Matthews did a research, a lot of different, so global, a lot of different types of people, male, females, different education, different jobs, and those that physically wrote down, what they wanted to achieve. Obviously, it gives you a 42% chance of more likely to achieve them.
That's massive, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'm actually, the article I read this from, I'm actually going to spend some time, and that might be obviously how to do that in one of the episodes 2, 3, 4 or 5. So, but I'm keen for myself, to break down some of my own goals. And not just, I suppose for me in the past, I've always thought about, I want to have enough money to be financially independent, that I've got enough money so I've got no restrictions and I've got options to do what I want to do. But man, that's broad.
Yeah, that is extremely broad. And number one thing they'll teach you at uni at any degree, a core subject is understanding your SMART goals. So making it specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and time bound. So you need to have a specific figure at a date, something that you can actually track and work towards.
Right.
And that's achievable, so you don't, overconfidence and then not get there and get sad about it.
Yep. And I think this is where goals-based advice will become more popular in the coming years, because the tech is getting there.
Yes.
Not quite there, but it is getting there. And we haven't seen every tech stack that's out there and every program, but and it doesn't have to be complex. And we've seen some programs that we've used in the office here that have got part along the way or have attempted to, but then ultimately didn't work. But the tech is getting much better to help set the goals, see where you're up to, and then track it each year. And I think that's ultimately an amazing spot to get.
Goals-based advice in our industry has definitely come a long way. You can now track the progress and see what the percentage is of actually achieving that goal. And if it's 100%, you might say, okay, that's perfect. I might as well go on a holiday this year. You can plug that data in, and then it will show you if the future goal percentage of achieving that goes down or if it stays good. And it just shows you can have more fun now, or maybe you can't.
Yes.
But it always has that goal in mind.
And it's moving away from obviously that forever working up to retirement, and I think this is where as I've thought more about putting this podcast together with you, Amy, that I've the ultimate one around the ultimate goal in my mind is retirement, and that if you've got good reserves and you're well on the way to meeting that very safely, that it might mean that you've got excess money that you can spend now with your family while they're young, or to have more experiences now, rather than just forever building up, just an amount of money that may be more than what you need in retirement. Which means you can have more fun in the 30 years leading up to it.
And I think we've talked about this as well, but a positive of, I think, social media and the generation we are in and the era we're in with social media, being exposed to people having fun all the time, it does kind of take away just having that massive money pile at the end. You do want to have fun because you've seen people have fun now. But it is definitely getting that balance right between having the fun now and still having that financial stability and security in the future.
And this is probably the generation gap between us, Amy, where 24, nearly 25, and a 51-year-old, definitely hell-bent on financial independence and retirement, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying I haven't had fun, had a lot of fun over the journey, but do you think your age group, because they're not thinking about what they're, having some goal for retirement, or income goal, they're not thinking about that and it's just fun, do you think they are sacrificing future? Obviously future well-being, financial well-being in retirement?
I think if I think about the majority of people my age, and turning 25 tomorrow, everybody, happy birthday to me. Happy
birthday.
The majority of people my age, we're not looking at our superannuation or retirement in 40 years' time. We are thinking about having the house, maybe setting up for a family and having the fun now. Well, social media, everyone's in Europe at the moment.
Right. And as a 25 or nearly 25-year-old, that those small alterations, by doing some planning, some small alterations to your superannuation contributions at your age, when there's 25 years before you can even touch it, and you're a couple that are working hard towards that can make a monster difference.
Yes. Being in the industry, we know that and to be true, and we obviously try to educate everybody to also know that. But if I just look at the majority, we're not looking at retirement.
Yes, but with the right tools and the right projections, the right education.
Yes.
Around you start doing this, you have X amount when you're 65 or 60 or 70, and you don't, and what you do with the rest is up to you. Go and have fun with the rest. But that's where it can be a retirement goal, it can be a home loan payment goal, it can be the $5,000 holiday account, the goals within short term, medium term, longer term.
It's just nutting out what those goals are and how you can get there.
Yes, and if you've got those goals well set and prioritised and projected out, and obviously that's where the software's getting us to, we can have lots of different multiple goals, that it might mean that obviously not only you can spend a bit more now, it might mean that if you choose and you're not comfortable with volatility, that you can meet your goals with less allocation towards growth, which is not my bag. I prefer to educate people to say, this is why you need growth, and you just got to get used to volatility. But it might mean that you can be slightly more conservative if you're a nervous Nelly around share market volatility.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's where this goals-based advice really hones in on the individual and their preferences and I guess tolerance to the risks, how uneasy they might be as a person and around finances.
And I just thinking about, we mentioned obviously did our Peter Thornhill conversation last week after we spent a whole day with Peter, obviously one of our mentors, and he's very open and honest about how much how he accumulated over the time. And there was a question about, well, if he did something slightly different, would it be that same amount? And he said, well, no, it probably wouldn't have been quite as much. But the comment was, but it's still more than enough to meet the retirement goals that he has enjoyed and is enjoying. So that's where I say it doesn't have to be, that the bucket doesn't have to be that big to get the results that you're after.
Definitely.
So that's where having actually knowing where you're trying to get to, lump sum wise, to provide the income you need in retirement, what you're doing at the moment might be too much.
You may be excessive, and you might have been able to buy a house earlier in life.
Doing too much for later on and sacrificing now. So goals-based financial planning or advice can help with that.
Yes, definitely.
Fantastic. What's next, Amos?
I guess with that, having the short term, the medium, and the long term, once you have understood and defined those goals for you that are individual to you, it's definitely just prioritising what is most important to you then, and also I guess educating yourself around how much you might be contributing to super now will affect you in the future, and that number might fluctuate over time as market movements fluctuate, but it's just prioritising what you want when you want it.
Right, so you have all those different objectives, short, medium, long term, but then there's some are more important than others.
Yes.
Okay. And what we're seeing with some of the software, that it helps us, I suppose, work out which ones are more important than others.
We can set high priority, medium priority, low priority of achieving any particular goal.
Right, and obviously retirement would be high, paying off your home loan would be high.
Well, it depends for everybody. People are very debt conscious in society, especially with the rising interest rates, and people are now, especially my generation, we know that can happen, at a whim. People are definitely more conscious about debt, and that has become a priority.
So people might be thinking, okay, goals-based advice, this is great. It's essentially going to be telling us to, to spend less, to be leaner, and not have the experiences. But in reality, it's probably the reverse to that.
It's very, very dependent on you. So, for example, personally, like at the moment, I'm not 100% looking forward to, or retirement's not in my short-term time horizon, so I'm only contributing a minimum amount each week to super. But if I think about the near future, if I might want to start a family, I might stop contributing that money to super because, the child may be a goal. So things change in everybody's lives. That priority that I have, in my horizon, but not important, it might just get pushed down a little bit. It changes with life.
And so it's, goals that are set now as a 25-year-old or a 51-year-old will change over time, potentially.
I might not stop contributing to super because I might be more looking forward to that, but...
Yes, fantastic. So monitoring, adjusting, I suppose we've sort of covered that off, that I think the tech stack can help monitor, so getting the right technologies, and that is definitely out there now, and adjusting it as things change.
Your goals will evolve as you evolve as a person. Priorities change. Fantastic.
Emotional and behavioural considerations. Is this really looking at, you mentioned stress before, that having the plan, having the advice to meet needs and goals, do you think that can take stress away from people?
Definitely. If you are solely looking at, the returns-based approach, and you're just saying, here's, $100,000, invest it for me and, give me the biggest lump sum at the end of the day that you can. If the market drops, you have a physical reaction and it affects you, and that stress levels increase in your body. And if you are only looking at it from that investment point of view and not understanding that, hey, I actually don't need the biggest lump sum at the end of the day, I just need X amount to make sure I have income for the rest of my life.
Yes.
It removes that, knee-jerk reaction when the market drops.
And I think over the last couple of years, that's where we've been doing a lot of that in this business. And I've said this before, that, proving that there's enough. Having people, with 3 and 4 mil that are stressed about money, surely, at that stage, you shouldn't be stressed about money, but that's not the case. Anything below, like we've said, anything below the high water mark is disaster and it's stress. But this is where we use the projections constantly to prove that, and this is for retired people already, that you have enough. You don't need to stress. Markets recover, and they did, but before the next correction crash, it's always just around the corner. So I suppose we've been using, the projectors to help show people that you are fine.
You can have that amount at the end of the day, but still do X now and do that in 10 years' time. And
and I suppose that leads on quite nicely to the limitations of return-focused approach, and that's where the majority of, I suppose, my clients are at, where we're investing, we're trying to grow as much money as possible, and that should reduce stress, knowing they've got lots of money for retirement. But as I said, there's definitely been a retraining as I've improved as a financial advisor over the last 3 years, or probably since COVID. I think we've all improved, and it's the tough times when advisors improve. Not when markets are all going up.
When markets are up and your returns are great, everyone loves a financial advisor.
And returns got nothing to do with us. It's about asset allocation and education. But we definitely learn more. But obviously, one of the limitations is the fact that people are just focused on returns and not focusing on, will this money serve my retirement goals?
And if you are focusing only on returns, you may be investing far too aggressively than what you actually know you are, and risks that you're comfortable with as a person. So the market will drop because you've invested too much into growth maybe, and you will have that knee-jerk reaction and stress you out. But if you are more goals-based, you can potentially invest more conservatively and have a smoother ride from point A to point B.
Correct. So that's where if the projections show you can get the same result with less volatility, and I will always look to educate people around the markets. I will put my that's right. That's my space. But I believe that we can have the cake and eat it too, where I can educate in that space, and then the goals-based stuff will show that, well, yes, you may have more than what you need, but that's a nice feeling.
Definitely.
And whilst putting up with an understanding that volatility is normal, and that's what investing into markets, investing into businesses listed on markets is all about.
Yeah.
Very good. Any other thoughts?
Well, again, investing goals solely around investment returns and increasing wealth, I guess, it does expose you to neglecting other aspects of your life.
Yep.
So if you're not going to prioritise spending time with family and taking money aside to do fun things with family members or friends, or even looking at your budget or anything like that, it does open you up to other risks in life.
Yeah, and I think I can reflect on a meeting just a couple of days ago, and these extraordinarily wealthy people, and the comment was from the wife, we better tighten our belts. And I know it was tongue-in-cheek, slight bit of a joke, but the fact that it got brought up...
Was that due to a market downturn?
No, not particularly. It was just about complexity around farming land and business and self-managed super funds and how much needs to come out and looking after non-farming children, a whole range of complex stuff.
Yeah.
But these people have deserved the right not to tighten the belt, and I made sure they understood that, and they were on that page.
Yeah.
But the fact that it came out meant, it was the first thing they thought about.
Yeah.
We better be a bit careful. I said, tighten the belts. I said, no belt tightening at all for you people.
Take the belt off.
Yes, the risks that have been taken over decades to build businesses, debt and so on. Full encouragement. Go your hardest while you can.
Yeah.
So I suppose that's where solely focused on returns. Even if you've got $10 million, oh geez, we had a bad year because we had a crash or whatever it is, we better tighten our belts. What for? Yeah. So you're not going to run out of money for some people. Excellent. So I suppose there's that emotional impact where people are making decisions based on, you may have plenty of money to see you through based on long-term projections, but in the short term you just think, the market's down.
Yeah.
Tighten belt.
Yeah.
No need.
And I guess when it is your sole focus in life to accumulate as much wealth as you can, and that investment and returns are the only thing you are looking at, it also opens you up to making bad personal choices, and you might be in a career that you don't want to stay in forever, but it pays well, or the work environment might suck, but it pays well when you stay in that spot. But really, if you can get another job and it will still get you from where you are to where you want to be, why not choose the happier option?
The happier path.
It's not
Excellent.
all about returns.
Well, that's right. And we've no doubt focused on that over the last couple of years, and really been a retraining of ourselves and then a retraining of clients to make sure that at the end of the day it's about happiness and well-being, and the dollars, the money, the capital just helps us provide the income to do that, but it doesn't have to be stacks on stacks of millions.
No. And it is quite motivating when you do set a smart goal that's specific, measurable, realistic, and it has a end time date. If you meet that goal, it's so much motivation. It's a snowball effect of then setting more goals and more achievable things.
And is this where, just looking at long-term nature of investing, where people sometimes or all the time just think about what's happening now, the bad news that's in the paper, in the news at night time, that how they feel is dictated by short term. But every projection that we try to do for our clients is the rest of their lives. And when you get rid of all the bumps and all the ebbs and flows, generally shows that people are fine. Some people might need to decrease their spending by a bit to make sure they have enough, but it's the short, people who get too embedded in the negativity of the short term, and that really affects their thinking.
Definitely.
So, what other areas do you think, Amy, that we need to cover?
I guess, being an advisor as well, and if you do have a financial advisor or are thinking of getting one, if you only base the value of that client-advisor relationship on returns, it's never going to be, a personable, personalised approach to you. And I don't think anybody wants to put their relationship as a tit-for-tat kind of, how is the investment return going?
Yes.
Advisors can be so much more than that. We are that, mental and educational support, and, Rob is really, really great at having those retired people. If you sell the farm and you've got millions of dollars just because you're not actively farming and having that income anymore, you don't need to tighten the belt.
Yep.
You need to have the fun. You need to have that person as well to educate you that you do have enough for life expectancy. So make sure you make the most out of your advisor if you've got one, and you think about all of the goals that you have.
Fantastic.
Not just the money figure.
Yeah, it's about life, it's about wellness, it's about happiness, it's about meeting goals short term and long term, and everything in between. And I think having a template and a pathway worked out for you to meet those goals must give a huge amount of comfort for people. And I think that's where, if people have that comfort, it's not a stress point, and it means I think you can go out and have more fun.
Yeah, if Rob's telling you to spend the money, do it.
Do it. Yeah.
Don't be stressed, and he's looked at the future and your life expectancy.
Yeah, the projectors that I've used for a long time now, I always thought that I'd be using these projections to help, to reduce their spending. And for some people, we set up spending plans and policies that, if markets go up a bit, you potentially have, and the projections show you can have a bit of a pay rise. We've done that. And every now and then, it works in reverse. We do the projections perhaps just to say, hey, all these 5-10 grand lump sums coming out are going to have an effect on the longevity. But that's pretty rare. It's only a handful of people that are in that space. For the most part, we are saying, hey, you can actually do a bit more. Let's project that you have a 15 grand overseas holiday every second year for the next 6 years. And we can show that you're fine. And that's, I suppose, a form of goals-based advice. Yeah,
definitely. The advisor is Rob's understanding that people may want to, they don't have to work that extra 2 days in retirement if they don't want to. If the only reason they're doing that is because they think it's going to help their bank account at the end of the day, you can show, well, actually, you don't need it. You will still meet your income goals throughout retirement. Why don't you take those days off, stop working, and spend time with the grandkids? Yeah. That's what people really value. Fantastic. All right, Amy, I reckon that's probably enough for part 1. And we'll kick off on part 2, possibly next week or the week after, but we'll just see where the creativity flows. We've got, obviously part 2, 3, 4, 5 coming of this one, and we'll do some podcasts on artificial intelligence and investment themes and maybe some companies around that one. So if any of that makes you interested, make sure you like, subscribe, and keep listening. Been some great reporting seasons coming out. Been good for some investors who are not focused on returns. Might be a little bit. Bit of column A, bit of column B. Yes, excellent. Very good. Thank you very much for listening. Please go and check out resources on our website. Our YouTube channel has nearly 550 videos, which this will be one of them. So there's lots of information there. Please give us feedback on any topics that you would like covered. We love educating. That's a fun part of our job. Definitely let us know. Thank you. Bye. And happy birthday. Thanks, babe.